I'm gonna just vent to you because I need to. So, situation set up is obviously I have two parents, and they've both been kind of shit, but in their own ways. So, shithead number one, my dad. He has been abusive since before I was even born. It was a big thing with my family about trying to convince my mom to not marry him, but she did anyway, and she had my sister and I. And one of my first memories is hiding behind a wall with my sister hugging me as I just hear my parents arguing out in the living room. And so I feel like that's kind of defining on how the rest of my childhood has been. And it's always been my dad that's been the number one abuser. My dad has strangled my mom in the middle of a parking lot for no good reason. Though I doubt there is such a thing as a good reason to strangle your wife in a parking lot, or your wife at all. And he's done a lot of things. He's had a lot of different things happen. And no matter what, my mom stayed beside him and stayed beside my sister and I. And so it was always a latch on to mom thing. My sister and my mom, they are my rocks. And I will always appreciate them for that. And I will never try and take that title away from them. But my mom has lately become more like my dad. There are some guys that live with me now, but before they moved in, I was what we would legally call in a crisis situation, where my mom wouldn't feed me for a week or whatever, and then when she would get us McDonald's drive-through, dollar menu business, and it would always make me sick. And she was really, really aggressive, and she once pinned me to a wall and said, if I commit suicide for being in the state that I am, then that is on you. And she's just had a lot of things like that happening, and they've dialed down a lot since the guys have moved in, because they're kind of keeping an eye on her, keeping her in check, which frankly shouldn't be the role of a friend. Your role as a friend shouldn't be to make sure I don't beat my children, but that's a whole other different thing. And so, either way, now my parents are both kind of shit, and it's okay, so I'm skipping a lot of different things, and I'm skipping ahead and then going back or whatever, but it doesn't matter. So anyway, both of my parents are shitheads, but they're both divorced, they're not together anymore, and my mom has primary custody. So anyway, turns out music's enough looking at this. When my mom divorced my dad, she took primary custody. So now I only see my dad about every other weekend, though it's November and I won't see him at all this month. I won't see him until the first weekend of December. And the last time I saw my dad in October, which was the weekend before Halloween, I was driving in his car, which is technically illegal because although I'm 15, I don't have my permit or anything, but anyway, so we were driving around this country neighborhood or whatever, so I was literally just doing loops, and I was all happy or whatever because driving proved to be really relaxing to me. It really dialed down my anxiety, and I was really, really excited about that. I was holy shit, I'm not just analyzing a millionfold everything. I still have a ton of thoughts going on, but they're about making sure I keep this car going properly, and that's really, really nice, is to not have that be your number one concern, instead of all of the things your brain goes to when you're having constant anxiety, because I have generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder, so it's like, woo, loads of fun. Also depression, so it's like, great, okay, good happiness, good times. And while we were in that car, I was driving around, so I'm just trying to make sure everybody can hear me. My dad offered for me to move in with him, and I said I'd think about it. And I truly am. And there's a lot, and I don't know what to do. Should I say yes or should I say no? I've heard a lot of different responses for a lot of different reasons, both from my head and from actual people. And one of the things is that my dad has been terrible to my sister, and I don't know if she will be offended if I do say yes. And for me, it's a big thing that I always like do what my sister wants, and I know that sounds really like unhealthy, and to a certain extent it is, but I mean, it just means that what I do, I want to make sure that I'm not like upsetting or disappointing her. I'm not trying to like completely do as she would do or anything, if that makes sense. And so there's also this other side of me that's like, oh, just risk it, who cares, what happens? It's like, what if I shut that door and I regret it? But it's also like, what if I shut this door of living here and regret it? And it's like, I don't know what to do. But I've been leaning towards yes as of like today, I'm not gonna lie, because there's this YouTuber, Evan Ettinger, I think I'm saying his name right, I don't know, I'm Texan, pronouncing things is hard, and sorry, my hair, it's just pissing me off. And so we're just gonna keep it like this now. Fuck, this one piece is just being an asset. Fuck you, one piece of hair. And so this YouTuber posted a video about his dad dying, and how he had always viewed him as bad, and like his parents were divorced, so there had not really been many good times with his dad. And so then how he talked about when he was older, when he turned 18 and everything, and he didn't have to talk to his dad, he really cut him out. And he was like, okay, I'm done with you, you've proven like that I won't be happy like with you. And so then, like, anytime his dad would try to contact him, he would block him, and a whole bunch of other things. And like, just watch his video if you want like the details and everything. It's not my story to tell. And basically at the end, he's like in tears, and he says, "Don't do what I did." And it's like, which way am I doing what Evan did? Am I doing what Evan did by shutting out my dad like he did? Or am I shutting out my mom and doing what he did? And it's like, I don't want any shut doors. I want all doors to be open. I feel like that's kind of my answer, but it also feels like that's not like an allowed answer. And so I'm like, what do I do? They're talking about starbursts and now and starbursts. And it's like, okay. So I've got those two things. But it also feels like with Dad, I feel like I'm trying to like extend that moment in the car where I was like no anxiety and everything was like smooth sailing pretty much. And like it was a learning process and everything, but like good, solid, A plus, aces, great. And so I'm like, if by going to Dad, am I just trying to like joyride life? And by going to my dad, am I like denying like all the deep nitty gritty parts of life, positive or negative? And it's like, okay, so I'm gonna make a theater reference, so hate me if you want. But in Wicked, there's like this one song from this guy where he's talking about like skimming by during life and everything, just like staying on top and not thinking about anything and just joyride, happiness, great. And it's like, by going to my dad, am I living that song when I need to be here with my mom being Alphaba? And that's the moment, like when I thought that the first time before filming this, that I kind of like looked at my face and realized the green face mask on it, and it's like my face is a metaphor for me. And I don't know what that means. Or if I'm just trying to not acknowledge